Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 50 Shades of Tay. Today I am joined by breathing and dialect coach Logan Pietz. Logan, how is it going?
It's going very well. Thank you for being here.
Logan, I have a question. Do you have a chill down your spine right now?
I do. I have an ice pack underneath my buttocks.
All right, with that down, do you remember the first movie you saw in the theaters?
Yeah, it was DuckTales. I can't remember the name of it. It had a genie and a lamp. And it was about can't remember the name of it, but that was the first thing I saw. And it was, my wife is really mad at me off screen right now because I can't remember the name. And she told me like 30 seconds ago.
Was it Legend of the Lost Lamp?
It was!
Wow. It wasn't?
That was the first... Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
Like, that was the first one I remember. And one of my first memories, like, informatively of media as a kid and being part of understanding how entertainment changed people. And the different voices of, like, you had Huey, Dewey, and Louie. That sounds so much different than Scrooge. And it was so interesting to hear as a kid, and really informed kind of the media I consumed further on in my adolescence.
Okay, so this next question always gets me when people ask me this about David and I.
Okay.
Do you remember the first movie you and Chris saw together in the theaters?
I do. The first movie me and Chris, my wife, saw in theaters is when we were dating, and I took her on our first movie date, and it was Rise of the Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a silly movie, and with all of the, Jack Frost and the Easter Bunny and all that, but it's become so romantic for me, and I do love romance very much. So it is one of our Christmas staples.
Aw, that's a cute movie. I love Jack Frost in that movie.
Yeah, it's a lovely movie.
Yeah, love it, love it. So, not for myself, but for my viewers who may not know.
Hi, viewers.
Hello. Can you describe what a dialect coach does?
A dialect coach does, depending on your voice. I start with breathing because a lot of people don't know how to breathe correctly anymore, I believe. A lot of our parents... I was a really colicky baby starting out in my life. I mean, yeah, you're a baby. You start out in life as a baby. But they get frustrated, and they put you in front of a TV, and they put me in front of Looney Tunes, and all of these characters breathe from their chest. And then we learn those habits. When we're born, we know how to breathe correctly from down in the diaphragm, down from the stomach. We know how to open up that space to breathe correctly. The first thing we do when we're born is breathe. And a dialect coach opens that breath, opens those chambers to allow you to, even in your own tongue, speak a different language. Like with the American dialect, it's like, hey, they'll ask British actors, like Tom Holland, can you do an American accent? They'll say accent. Well, accent is very broad. Dialect is very narrow. Can you do a Southern accent? Can you do a Southern accent for me?
No.
Just do it. Just do it for the viewers.
Wait, okay, give me a sentence.
Give me that water bottle.
Oh, no, this is tough. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Give me that water bottle.
But do it in a Southern dialect.
What was that?
Do it in a Southern.
I don't know.
Do it like cowboy.
Reach for my thighs.
Right?
Like that?
So, reach for my thighs.
Toy Story.
So, we're going Texan there. But then, if you're going Louisiana, that becomes very different. If we're going to Georgia, that becomes very different when it comes to where the breath pattern is. And a good cheat with that is looking at the environment in which they were born from. I'm from Nebraska, so I have a very non-regional dialect that can be heard, because you have to be heard from miles and miles away. But in bigger places like New York, that changes because it's very close quarters. So a dialect coach looks at environment, looks at... I really like to look at drinking songs of the culture and just understanding the music of the nature of where you were at.
Is an example of that the song Shots by LMFAO?
I mean, yeah, if you grew up in a club.
Yeah, I did. Okay, can you give an example of great dialect work in recent film or television?
Ooh, great dialect work. Andrew Garfield is a... Can I curse on this show?
Fuck yeah.
Andrew Garfield is a fucking genius. If you look at him like his Spider-Man films versus his... Whoa, got some shit off camera right now. If you look at Andrew Garfield on like his Spider-Man films and... Well, because he is a British guy. And the first thing I saw him in was The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, he's this young British kid. He's doing great. It's an amazing film. He gives a great performance. And then he's Spider-Man all of a sudden. And he has this great, like, activated New York attitude dialect. And then you have him in Tick, Tick, Boom.
Oh, so good.
Where he not only can talk in that dialect, but sing in that dialect.
Yeah.
And that's really something I cling to is, you know, you have to talk in the dialect.
Right.
Is number one. That's, you know, kind of when you're learning. Then when you're starting to get it, you can answer a phone call and convince a telemarketer that you're not who you are. And then number three is that you dream in that dialect. And then when you finally have mastered it, you can laugh in that dialect. Because laughter changes with voice to voice to voice. So even if you're playing two different characters, they could be Cockney, they could be Irish, they could be Scottish, they could be, you know, Norwegian. They're going to be different characters. But finding the laugh, that's when you know you got it.
Ooh. All right. So on the flip side of that, is there an example of dialect work in recent film or television that's maybe not so great? That when you saw it, you were like, that's not the correct accent, or that's not the correct...
Not recent, but like one of the most egregious ones to me that I still to this day like just want to put a hammer to my head is Kevin Spacey in God, what was that shitty show he did? House of Cards.
Oh, okay.
It was like I got through like 20 minutes of the first episode and I was like, pick a fucking dialect. You absolute douchebag. I couldn't stand it. It was terrible.
Oof. All right. So, you received your BA in acting from the University of Nebraska's Johnny Carson School of Theater and Film.
Whoa.
What is the most important thing you learned while attending that school?
Oh, man. That is a heavy question. What was the most important thing I learned at the Johnny Carson School? About acting?
Yes.
About everything?
Well, or, yeah, either.
Whew. Don't be such a dick. Was a great one. I had a teacher once, Jennifer Hubbard.
Shout out.
Who I went into class. We had a class and I had to rehearse. Well, we had lines. We had to memorize lines. And I had a scene partner, and I had to memorize my lines, and he had to memorize his, but we didn't have each other's sides. And we had to have them memorized before we went to class. And I did not. So on the walk from my dorm to class, I was like, I can do this. And I was like, yeah, I probably got this. And I stumbled on like line 3. And then stumbled again on line 4. And Jennifer Hubbard was like, stop! Don't ever come into my class with that bullshit again. Yeah, she like kicked me out. And it was like, you have to prepare. You are not the most important person here. The biggest disservice was like my freshman year. I had class with my professor, and he kept on saying, like, every scene I did, every monologue I did, he was like, hey, everyone do it like Logan. So I got too big for my pantaloons. And so I went into my next year with that big-ass attitude, and my ego was so big that I thought I could just do everything easy. And it was a great lesson in prepare. But the most important lesson, I think, was by my professor and dear friend Ian Borden. We were doing the scene in The Good Doctor.
Ooh.
And we were working out pacing and stuff. And I was playing this seducer character. And I was a character actor, you know? And so I had set, I think, 6 characters that I had to play and switch back to. But the only straight character I played was Peter Semyonovich. And we were working the pacing on a scene. And he said, hey, Lacey, Jason, this pacing really isn't working out. Let's go back. Let's redo the dance. Logan, go sit on the bleachers and think about how much you suck. And I got real mad at him. And I was like, what do you want me to do then? And he said, I wouldn't cast you if you weren't able to do the job. So just do the job. So punctuality, trust in yourself, know your fucking lines.
Yeah. All right. So you have done voice work for video games such as Little Knights and Blade and Soul. How is working on a video game different from other mediums such as film and television?
Breath work. It's a lot more breath work because your breath has to carry the action. When you're doing a film or a play or you're on TV, your breath plays with when you're doing action. Your breath plays a part in that. But when you're sat in a booth. And you don't get to punch or run or stuff like that, the breath has the precedence. So focusing on how your breath works and where it works is really important for, when are you running? Where is your breath activated? It's down in the stomach. When are you scared? We're going to be a little bit more up here. So it's all about where does the breath live? And I think that's really a facet of acting that isn't appreciated as much, is where is the breath coming from?
I think that's something, that I don't even really think about either. Is there an example of a breathing technique that we can do?
Yeah, there's a technique called warrior's breath that you can do. It is really activating your core and finding where the air can go. From your thighs up to your head, there are so many empty spaces that you can fill with your breath. And warrior's breath, when you really fill your stomach and press out and fill back up again and press out, and understand that your breath can also go down into your thighs and out through your back and through your the sides of your stomach, and then through your armpits, up through your chest, and then through your front part of your neck, the sides, the back, and then all through the head, and then you exhale. That's a very important thing to understand. Well, how can I access this breath when I need to?
So hearing you talk right now about just like the different ways you can breathe and the techniques and stuff, it kind of reminds me of when I used to do meditation classes. Do you recommend meditating for people who are getting into this kind of work?
Absolutely. I've been really diving into a lot more meditation lately. And it's really helped me guide my breath a little bit better, especially with a lot of my students. Because every student and everyone I teach is different. Because they're going to be breathing differently than I'm always going to be breathing.
Right.
Their instrument is different than my instrument. I have a student who plays saxophone. And it's really great when you have when I get a student that is musically inclined, because then I get to make this metaphor. And he gave me this really great metaphor of, because he plays saxophone, his vocal cords are the reed. You got to work the reed on a saxophone to make the noise go.
Right.
But what makes the noise? It's the breath, not the read.
Uh-huh. Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of this I didn't even think about when I think of voice acting, when I think of all this kind of stuff. Didn't even think about it. Is there a method of acting or a medium that you prefer, such as voiceover versus live action or video games?
What do I prefer is comedy.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, if I can do comedy anywhere, that's what I would prefer.
Okay.
It takes a lot more to do comedy. I think that there's 3 hard things in life. The 3 hardest things in life: falling in love, playing soccer, and telling a good joke. Those are the 3 hardest things in life.
All right.
And comedy is so much more difficult than like doing drama, because a lot of drama actors that are like, oh, I'm so serious, oh, hello. But that's why when I was directing in the past, I would, if I was doing a drama, I would only cast comedians because they get the timing. Drama actors do that thing where it's like, I'll say a line for effect. Effect achieved. Moving on.
Oh my God.
But like comedic actors understand that there is that 1, 2, 3 triangle timing. I'll always go comedy first. Comedy is where my heart lives.
All right. That's cool. Let's see. If you could choose any project to be a part of next, especially with like all the great streaming shows that are out right now, is there something that you would want to be a part of?
Like currently streaming, or
yeah,
like
or anything. Yeah, anything currently streaming or anything coming up. Is there anything that's like caught your eye and you're like, oh, I would love to join that project?
There's so many things where I'm like, oh God, I'd be so good at that. I mean, you can kind of understand the tone where I'd be like, I'd be better at that. One of the things that I think I'd really love to do, I'd love to be in Shadow and Bone.
Oh,
That's
okay.
such a good show.
The second season just came out, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It's so good. Like that, the beeline of the 3 thieves. It's so good. I'm like, oh, I want to be one of you.
Oh, that's fun.
I mean, all of us. Like as a kid, I wanted to be a superhero. Like I'd love to be part of the MCU. I liked Marvel better than DC. Fuck DC.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, hot take.
Uh-oh.
But I'd love to. I've wanted to be a superhero ever since I was a little kid. And you know, I've aged out of Spider-Man. They've already got a Doctor Strange. I mean, I just need them to start writing people for me.
Yeah. If you could pick any Marvel superhero, is there one that you have in mind?
That I could do right now?
Right now, yeah.
I mean, ooh, so many of my favorites are taken.
Yeah.
They already did Moon Knight. Let's see. Any Marvel character I would like to do right now that exists.
Ghost Rider?
No, I like the Latino Ghost Rider more.
Don't do the X-Men.
Oh. Yeah, well, because they're not Marvel yet, but X-Men.
All right.
I mean, yeah, my name's Logan. I want to be Wolverine.
Ooh.
But I think I'd be a better not Wolverine. I'd love to be Havoc.
Oh, okay.
Havoc would be fun.
Yeah,
because
really
then I get to like fight Cyclops, who I fucking hate. Because we have that brother rivalry. Banshee would be really good because I do really good Irish.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And then, do you have advice for someone who is looking to get into this field of work? What would you tell someone who's just starting out in this field?
Of dialect coaching and breathing? Understand where your breath comes from. Resonate with your breath. Spend a lot of time understanding where the empty spaces of your body can fill and fulfill. And how that resonates with how your voice works. Where does your tongue lie? How do your cheeks move? What part of your teeth is your tongue activating, and how does that play with how the breath comes out? Those are all just really tiny, nitpicky things to understand how the breath supports the voice. Because without breath, we don't have voice. And without voice, we're nothing.
So you and your wife, Chris,
Yes.
have a voiceover studio
We do.
called Speak Friend Studio.
We do.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and the services that you guys offer?
Speak Friend Studio is a great little homemade studio. We do voiceover, and that is held by Chris. She takes over that. I do the breathing and dialect courses. We do basic classes and advanced classes, and they're sometimes 4 to 8 weeks. Like I said, Chris is amazing. She does voiceover. She's been in the voiceover world for over a decade. She's done so many animes. She's done so much work. She's a great coach. She focuses a lot on commercial copy, and I do a lot more of the animation copy and video game copy. We do demos as well, and we write custom copy for all of our clients if you sign up for our fellowship program. And we do classes individually as well that I usually take over. We do coaching. If you have an audition, come to us. We'll coach you on an audition. If you got some time, you're a little bit worried about it, come on. We got some time too. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Logan, for joining me for this interview. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Tay-Tay.
And I think it's time we go have a shot.
Let's do a shot.
It is Monday.
And what better thing to do on Monday than a shot? Give me a kiss. Mwah!
Bye.